Today we're going to look at a place to live, creating physical environments for people living with dementia. So this is an area that takes us, in a sense, the next step from what we did yesterday, looking at the contemporary approaches to dementia care, because one of the things that's happened in modern dementia care is that we have started to look at how the person with cognitive impairment interacts with their physical environment. Their physical environment will have a dramatic effect on how the person is going to function. And this, if we look back further into the biology of dementia, this is exactly one of the consequences of a shift away from what John Locke and others were saying, that the person is a person only if they can think and remember. So what we're saying here is that the person is a person who interacts with their physical environment and is affected by it. So as you well know from your work, the more noisy a care environment is, the more likely it is that somebody will become agitated. So those sort of observations we're much more astute and careful about these days than we ever were. And so what we want to do is try and modify a care environment to be suitable for somebody with dementia. So it's one of our key approaches in creating what's called a dementia-friendly environment. Now that dementia-friendly environment will be both physical and social, and we'll look into both of those as we go through today. So I think back to what we did on Monday in biology, what we did yesterday when we were looking at the various approaches, have all of those things in mind as we go through today. So there'll be lots of opportunity for us to have some thoughts about where you see opportunities in your own physical environment at work, and also maybe what you know of people with dementia that you work with and how you might modify what you have at work, what's achievable for you. If you had your ideal situation, what would you create? So we'll think in those terms as we go through. I've done the same thing as I did yesterday. Somehow I assume it'll work by magic. I've actually got to plug this little doom in. I'm sure that will work out better. Okay. The physical environment can be defined in terms of the material and tangible conditions in which we live, the physical world around us. So it'll be the tables, the chairs, the carpet, the walls, the colour of the walls. It'll also be the temperature of the environment we live in. It'll be the gardens we have around us. It'll be the road nearby, the neighbours next door. All of these elements that go to make up the world, the physical world we live in. Other aspects, the light that's coming in or not coming in. It's also about the social environment. So we'll be looking into the social relationships and the cultural milieu, which simply means the atmosphere in which we live. The atmosphere within which groups of people function and interact. Historical, social and power relations that have become institutionalised over time, dynamic and change over time. So what you're thinking about perhaps in terms of social environment within a dementia care environment is in fact the culture of care that's provided, or the way we create a life opportunity for people. Now we didn't used to speak in these terms in dementia care, because traditionally what we did was we provided almost like a long-term hospital environment. And that was principally what it was. It was staffed by nurses and doctors, and it was essentially regarded as being an environment where people could experience long-term care, long-term nursing. But what we do today is we take a broader approach in which the nursing care is but one part of what is provided. So we've moved away from the hospital paradigm to much more of a domestic paradigm. So we'll have a look at that as we go through. What do I mean by the word paradigm? Can anybody give me an idea of what a paradigm means? We're going to talk about a hospital paradigm and a domestic paradigm. Yeah, a model. A domestic model versus a hospital model. That's probably the simplest way to say it.
How do you spell paradigm? P-A-R-A?
D-I-G-M. Yeah, it's one of those strange words, isn't it? Paradigm. A paradigm is sometimes, after you say it often enough, it becomes meaningless, but it's a paradigm is a set of ideas that help us understand something. It's a model. So a set of ideas that help us to understand how to create a domestic style of life for people, or a hospital style of care. Notice the difference there. Hospital and care go together, domestic and life go together. So we have a broader focus on what we're trying to achieve for the person with dementia in the modern dementia care environment. Now, depending on the level of need for the person, the emphasis will be much more on the care or the social living that the person engages in. So the more high care, where there is much more of an obvious nursing intervention approach, then the person is going to be surrounded by much more of the trappings of nursing. Whereas if somebody is experiencing a lower level of need, social need, then they are much more likely to be in an environment that we saw yesterday, say from Warragul, where the environment was much more social, people were mobile, it was much more of a domestic style of care. Does that make sense? So a dementia-friendly physical environment will involve a move away from task to person. Now within that person focus, tasks get completed, but they are not the primary focus or end point or goal of our care. It recognises the effect of the physical environment on the social and emotional well-being of the person. And this is crucial for us. The physical environment, how we surround ourselves, what we surround ourselves with, has an impact on how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about life. If you think about the house you live in at the moment, the home you live in, whether it's a unit, a flat, a standalone house, whatever it might be. How have you set it up so that it suits you? What have you done so that it suits you? Colours? What colours, or how have you put colours in that suit you?
I choose my favorite colours that I like, that I feel connected to, so they've got something to say about me. So that's what you find mostly in my home. And also in the family, like the kids, in their own spaces as well. It also reflects what they like, what they like to do. Okay. Good.
I was just saying, you put your own personal style into your home. Like, you know, I love my garden, so I spend a lot of time in my garden and make it the way I like it, sort of thing. And
So, how did you do that?
lots of work,
Lots of
lots
work.
of time in the garden.
Did you choose plants that you like?
Yes, and I water them and I weed the garden and I mow the lawn.
And inside your house, how does that
As
reflect?
Big Guy said, I've chosen colours, you know, pastel colours. I like pastel. I find pastel colours have a calming effect. I like sort of calm atmosphere. Ornaments and things that I like. And, yeah, furniture.
Decorations and
So, furniture you've chosen, colours you've chosen. Any particular pieces of furniture? Did they have significance for you?
No, not particularly, just things that I've loved at the time.
Okay. Anybody else? What have you done to make the place reflect more of you or to be comfortable for you? What have you done to your place?
Decoration.
Yeah? What sort of decorations did you use?
Pictures on the wall, like family pictures.
Family pictures?
Yeah. And like my son-in-law, I just put like his favorite things, like what he's watching the cartoon and stuff to match with his age and like bed seats and other things.
Uh-huh.
So those sort of things.
Yeah.
The size of the room to choose, I chose what I felt was necessary for my family. So I didn't go and compare with someone else and say, I want this house. I had to choose what I felt. These numbers of rooms, how big they are, that will suit my family and my budget as well.
Right. Okay, so it's really tailoring your physical environment to the needs of the people. Good. Caroline, how have you what have you done to your place?
I guess just tidying it the way you like, or arranging what you do in positions the way you like.
Right, so even arranging where you put things is going to reflect your preferences, what suits you. Okay. Nikki?
Same as everybody else, I suppose my place would reflect that heritage and horses. It's got pictures on the walls, trophies, things that I value. And my likes antiques, so there's some antiques that we've collected, things like that. So it's a really sort of country-looking style house, reflects the world and horses and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it reflects the people who live there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Ali, would you mind going and pulling that cable out of the white cable? Thank you. No, if you can mind just pulling the black cable out of the white cable.
Ah,
Yeah, thank you. Lovely. Thanks very much. Okay, so what we've got from each of you is an indication of just how you personalise your care environment. Notice what I said there, your care environment. It is, isn't it? But it's also your living environment. It's the place where you derive care for you. It's the place where you live. But what you've done is you have created an environment in which you're reflected by making choices about what goes there in colours, what goes on the wall, where the furniture is, what it's covered in, where the photos that are up on the walls, the garden outside, the objects within and outside that are going to reflect you. So my question for you is, how does that happen in a dementia care environment?
Well, at our facility we encourage people to actually, well, the families to bring in anything that's relevant, like if they've got family photos, they're welcome to put them up on the wall. If they've got a favourite chair that they can bring in, things like that. If they like music, they can bring in the music that they like, or make it very home-like. They can bring in their own doona from home, or things like that that they will recognise and be comfortable with, because that's what they've always had at home.
Yeah.
Within reason. I mean, you're not going to bring the whole house in, but within reason, and things that they value, so they can see their family photos on the wall directly near their bed and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it does make it more individual.
So it's very personalised,
Yeah.
as much as is possible within
Within that environment.
the environment. Yeah. Do you have some shared rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have individual rooms, or are they
We've
mostly
got
shared?
12 individual rooms.
Okay.
But they're quite good because the residents, like, you know, will bring their little bits of furniture from home. So if you go to the individual rooms and look, it's all, you know, reflective of that person. Might even have a sign, like one lady's got a sign on the wall saying Joan's room. And she's got personal things that she likes in her room, and all of them have really. Yeah.
Good. Anybody else? How does what you do at home get reflected in your care environment, or does it?
When it comes to the choice of furniture generally within the nursing home, the colours are also coordinated. You don't just take any colour, any couch and just mix them all together. So actually the interior decoration is something that we also consider, that it should be something that is calm, something that is really good, pretty, just like what we do in the home as well.
Good. So is it from staff preferences, or is it resident preferences?
This is actually from the management preferences.
Management preferences. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
And then we've got dementia unit, level 2, so it's different from other floor. The lounge is opened, just for the one-room resident to can find a way easily. Not find a way easily, they can wander easily.
Okay.
And they also can see people around easily.
Yes.
And so reduce the education something.
Okay. Do the residents get to decorate the environment in any way?
Yeah, like say in the room, not outside, in the room.
In their
sometimes we dining room we got the pictures hang over there.
Okay.
So if they draw a picture, we do something, and if it's Christmas comes, some resident would help that stuff, but it's just according to the rules, not according to their preference.
Okay.
In the room, yeah, the family can bring the photos and hang it on the walls, and like Etsy said, like, you know, choose their furniture, if they have like favorite donor and stuff, like, you know, some resident they got like their room, like their house, nothing from Central Park except that, you know, the curtains and stuff. Because one lady in level 1, her room is very beautiful, like, you know, couches and everything, and bed, everything like from her house. It's not like you going to someone's lounge room.
It's like walking into her house.
In her house, yeah, and she likes to put like all the jewelry and makeup and stuff, like, you know. You really feel like something different when you're entering to that room.
It's
You want to
interesting,
stay a
isn't
little bit longer, yeah, like, and she maintain as well, like, isn't it? Like, you know, all the time that room is tidy, and she used the small cushion matching with the couches, and it's really beautiful.
And it's interesting, you said you feel like staying a bit longer there.
Yeah, like when I enter that room giving medication, that I look around every time with, like, you know, how.
Yeah, it's interesting, it gives you a reflection back on what they may have been like before they got ill or sick or whatever, because they've got lots of things from home. Their history can be reflected in those things that they bring in.
Yeah, and you can recognize her personality as soon as you enter in her room, like from her get-up. And that room was actually double room, but they make like single room, so it's big room, so she can put all her stuff, furniture and everything. So it's really
You
nice.
can find some life story from there.
Yeah.
We got a few was I think we went there and get you.
I think it is
Just a tip.
Yeah, and then when you look at picture, you ask her, she will tell the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she got lots to tell, and
Yeah.
she's
It's
really
interesting,
dementia.
isn't it?
She really
Yes, she has got like
yeah.
very bad dementia, like she's wondrous, you will lost her way, you have to redirect and bring her back, but I never found her room untidy or like, you know. With the stuff, makeup, she's always like perfect,
Yeah.
but her memory is not very good, like, you know, she can't find her way. So I found like
But
it's
she-
amazing, like, but she's maintaining her personality, like, you know.
So does she maintain her room in such a neat, tidy
Yes,
way?
that's her, that's not actually.
So
the
her
staff,
memory's
that's
not
her.
all that good, but she can still
She
do
can still, yeah.
the things that maintain the environment.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say too that the way she set it up reflects her life story. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like,
So
especially I can imagine that.
We can tell a lot about a person by looking at their house. Often when people will come and visit us at home, they'll say how comfortable the house feels. And then they'll look at the library, at the bookshelves. And you can they say you can tell a lot about a person by the books they've got. And you probably can. So there's a lot of us revealed in the books that we have, the things that we have around. So our physical environment is an expression of us, of our personhood. Yeah? So that's an interesting way for us to think about how we can sustain personhood. How can we sustain the personhood of the people we work with? Have that in mind as we go along. So, our 3 points here. We need to move from task to person focus. This approach, this dementia-friendly physical environment approach, recognises the effect of the physical environment on social and emotional well-being, and also we use the physical environment to create social and emotional well-being.